You are now in tune to the most intriguing podcast in the universe. Hosted by the scientist Leon Marshall. Are you ready for Marshall's Melanin PODCLASS?
Listen, I am fully energized.
Class is in session.
You gonna learn today.
I found it really enlightening, like educational as well. There were a lot of things I didn't know, especially with melanin and like all the benefits of melanin. So I found that very interesting.
I love it. There's so much information, you know, it's entertaining and it's just facts after facts after facts.
This is the podcast where science is made simple and learning is fun. Welcome to Marshall's Melanin PODCLASS. Now, here's your host, the scientist Leon Marshall.
Yes, welcome family. My name is Leon Marshall and you're tuned in to Marshall's Melanin PODCLASS. Class 20. Class 20. Jeez. 20 classes, fam. Man's done 20 of these. Big up everyone who's listening right now. Large up the people in the chat. I see Trinidad and Tobago in the building. Put some ones in the chat if you can hear me clearly, family. Put some ones in the chat and let me know where you're tuned in from. Let me know. Yeah. Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, Berkshire. Yes, family. Thank you. And thanks for joining me tonight. I truly appreciate it. Now remember, these podclasses are more educational than anything else. That's why I've called it a PODCLASS as opposed to just a podcast. I do these on the first of each and every month, so don't miss them. And tonight's class is going to be about melanin and medication. What does the medication that black people are on do to their melanin? Is it harmful to their melanin? Let's find out. Now I've created this podcast so we can all truly understand melanin once and for all. What it is and how it works. We must change the narrative around melanin if we are ever going to understand it. Changing the narrative means we need to change the language. Change the way we talk about and describe melanin scientifically. And that change happens right now. So let's go.
I've been to quite a few and I've heard Leon talk at other events, and as usual you do come away learning something.
Listen, I am fully energized.
That is brilliant. It's just so informative, mind-blowing. It's something that, you know, it's just put me on a journey of knowing thyself. It's just fantastic.
Big up South London in the building. Large up St. Lucia. I saw Trinidad and Tobago. I saw Jamaica in the chat. Berkshire, Romford, Essex. Large up the whole family. Orpington, large up the whole family from in and around the UK that are joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. It's going to be a very interesting one tonight, family. But before we start, let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Because what we're talking about tonight, you know, certain people won't want us to share this information. So let me go and get this out of the way just from the jump, yeah? Let me give you my disclaimer. Because you know how these people stay when we go into subjects like this. So, disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. The information provided in this podcast should not be substituted for the advice of an appropriately qualified and licensed healthcare provider. The information provided here is for informational purposes only. Please check with your physician if you have any health questions or concerns. Although I attempt to provide accurate and up-to-date information, no guarantee is made to that effect. All right, so now that's out of the way. I got my disclaimer out of the way. Let's go into what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is melanin and medication. So large at the family that are just joining, you haven't missed a thing, and you should be able to see my disclaimer on the screen right now. So got my disclaimer out of the way. So yes, I, Leon Marshall, I am not a doctor. I am not someone who works in the medical profession. I'm just someone, to be clear, I'm just someone who wants to know the truth. I'm just a truth seeker. And just to be clear, I am not anti-doctor. I am not anti-medication. I am not anti-NHS. Again, I am just a person who wants to know the truth. And if I'm anti anything, I'm anti falsehood. This makes me a truth seeker. And as a truth seeker, I believe that once you find the truth, you should share it. Seek the truth, then speak the truth. That is my motto. And that is why through seeking the truth, I was able to design the UK's first and only Black holistic health course, specifically for Black people to learn about health and well-being from a Black perspective. So everyone should be seeing the Hidden Science of Black holistic health flyer on their screen right now. Some people saying they can't see the screen, but you might have to change your device to see the screen. But put some ones in the chat. Just let me know that everyone can see the screen. You should be seeing the Hidden Science of Black holistic health flyer. Put some ones just to make sure you can see it. All right. So the person who said they can't see their screen, that's to do with your device. But yeah, I from my own observation, I'm the only one in the UK that's created a Black holistic health course specifically for Black people to learn about health and well-being from a Black perspective. Thank you everyone for putting ones. Thank you very much. Now, some people might ask, now, why would anyone want to learn about health from a Black perspective? Well, because we're different. We are biologically different. We are chemically different and physiologically different. According to who? Leon Marshall? No. According to the NHS. Every year, the NHS tell us that we're different. In a very emphatic way, I might add. How do they do this? Well, each and every year, the NHS tell us that our blood is different. Do they not? I wonder if anyone else has noticed this. Every year, they urge us to donate our uniquely different blood. Uniquely different to everyone else's blood. So they specifically urge Black people to donate blood. Every year without fail. Like, look, this is from 2017. NHS launches urgent appeal for Black people to donate blood. So they're telling us that our blood is different. Nothing wrong with that. That our blood is unique. Nothing wrong with that. But every year they beg us to donate this very different, very unique blood. This one's from 2018. Call for Black donors to join the growing numbers saving lives this Black History Month. So that's 2018. What about 2019? Yep, in 2019, they launched the urgent appeal for new Black blood donors. Yeah. Every year without fail. Now, this one's from 2021. They actually did not urge us to donate blood in 2020. And there was a obvious reason why. Why did they not ask us to donate blood in 2020? Because that's when COVID hit. So no one was donating blood. It would have been too dangerous to donate blood during that time. But just like clockwork, they were back on it come 2021. So 2021, critical call for Black people to donate blood, as 16,000 new donors urgently needed. And then obviously 2022, same thing again, record demand for blood donations to help sickle cell patients prompts urgent call. They're always urgently, they're literally begging us to donate blood because there's something about our blood that is different. Yeah. Because if we just go by logic, why would they beg us for our blood if everyone's blood is the same? Why not just get the blood from somewhere else? Why would they beg us, urge us to donate blood if everyone's blood is the same? Obviously, our blood is different. Now, these questions like that, the NHS had to actually answer themselves. Why do you guys keep on urging Black people to donate blood? Literally, they had to, a couple of years ago, they had to go on social media and defend themselves, because a lot of people thought that it was kind of racist that NHS kept on asking and begging and urging Black people to donate blood. So they actually had to go on social media and defend themselves. They actually had to explain why they're urging Black people to donate blood. I kid you not. So this was from a couple of years ago. It says how the NHS overcame allegations of racism to drive Black blood donors. So you can see there, they were on Twitter and they said, so people keep asking, why do we need more Black blood donors? Isn't everyone's blood the same? You're racist. And then they went through some thread and started to, tell people why they were asking for blood. Black people have a unique type of blood, RO subtype in their blood, blah, blah, blah. They were trying to educate the people and tell them, yeah, no, Black people's blood is different. So there you have it. The NHS tells us every year that we're different and that they need our blood specifically due to these differences. And just to be clear, I'm not against donating blood. Do what you think is right. However, as a truth seeker, I am interested to know where and who that blood goes to. So I don't know who saw this. If you're in my WhatsApp group, you might have seen this, but I posted this in my WhatsApp group. Check this out.
This is a serious story, I suppose. Well, you tell me. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's pretty serious that if you're donating your blood, thinking you're helping people get blood transfusions, but they're selling it abroad?
So it's not our blood abroad so that the Chinese can have it and inject
what do they do with it?
It's a commodity. It's so the Chinese they own it, so then they sell it back to us. So our NHS, a bit like vaccines and things, are going to have to pay, extortionate rates
for nothing.
No, we sell it. So that you give it, and then the government, like it owns the NHS and is selling off parts of the NHS, it'll sell off that blood to a company who then sell it to us when we need that blood. But then we're going to have to pay premium for it.
So when you donate blood, where is it truly going? Where is it truly going? And this is really my only issue with the medical industry. It seems like, and this is just from my observation, that there's things that they just don't tell us about, especially when it comes to the health of Black people. For example, every year, without fail, they tell us over and over and over again that we are more likely to suffer from certain diseases. This is from the NHS Choices website, and it says that if you're African or African Caribbean and you live in the UK, you're more likely than people from other cultures to have certain health conditions, including high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and prostate cancer. Again, blatantly telling us that we're different. But why though? Why are we more likely to suffer from these diseases? Well, according to the NHS experts, they aren't sure why these conditions are more common in people of African and African Caribbean origin, but they think it may be linked to diet, lifestyle, and different ways of storing fat in the body. There are several ways to reduce your risk of these conditions. Find out how to protect yourself against diabetes, high blood pressure, and prostate cancer. And then when you click on these links, it goes on to tell you about what medication is available for you to help treat these diseases. So there you have it. Black people are more likely to suffer from type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, prostate cancer, but for some strange reason, they don't know why. But yet they've got the medication to help us, the drugs to help us. Oh, and let's not forget, they said that Black women are 5 times more likely, or is it 4 times? Is it 4 times or 5 times more likely now? Who knows? I don't know. 4 times, 5 times, but Black women are more likely to die from childbirth, which is absolute madness. Like, that's crazy, yeah? And obviously that explains why some Black women may be a little anxious when entering a hospital to give birth. Obviously, they're going to be anxious when they hear information like that. And this could also explain why most Black people in the UK believe the NHS gives white people better care. So this survey came out a couple of years ago and it found that 2/3 of Black Britons believe NHS gives white people better care. And it says underneath there, Black women especially feel unequally treated by health service. And this has a knock-on effect on prescribed medication. Studies have found that Black people have the most adverse reactions to drugs they are given for treatment. Check this out. Does ethnicity influence adverse reactions to drugs? You guys can do your research on this. I always like to show my evidence just so I can show you where I'm getting my evidence from. But you guys do your research on this, yeah? Black people have the most adverse reactions. So does ethnicity influence adverse reactions to drugs? Interesting. I wonder if anyone knew this. Does anyone know this? How many of you listening to this right now have experienced adverse reactions to medication you were prescribed? Like, put it in the chat. If you experienced any type of adverse reaction, put it in the chat. And if you're open, share. Some of you, share your experience. Just let us know. What was the adverse reaction? What happened? If you're open to sharing. You share yours, I'm going to share mine as well. I'm going to share what happened to me, an adverse reaction. But yeah, people saying, yes, it happened to me. I want to see if anyone wants to share what happened to them though. What sort of adverse reaction happened? Majestic saying they use us as guinea pigs. Okay, antibiotics a few years back, never again, suffered from extreme IBS. Okay, so some people put in there, sharing their experiences. Large are the people that are putting their experience. Severe vision impairment. See, look at this family. So a lot of us have, experiences with drug reactions, adverse drug reactions. Lord have mercy. Oh my days. I'm just reading some of these things. Some of them I don't even want to repeat because I know that certain people might be listening. So I'm just going to read through them. People in the chat, you can see them as well. Oh my days. Someone said they were giving antipsychotic drugs instead of antidepressants. Lord have mercy. Couple people saying that their sight was affected. This is very interesting. And Diane said stretch marks on arm from steroid creams. Interesting. Okay, well, family, because you guys shared your experiences, I'm going to share mine as well. I'm going to share mine. Large are the people who will put their experiences. Some people saying their breathing was impacted, but some people said they had issues with their skin. Issues with their skin. This is very interesting. But yeah, I'm going to share what happened to me. Enough people put in what happened to them, but let me share my experience. So about 10 years ago, I used to suffer from terrible, and I mean terrible eczema, like all over my body, terrible eczema and skin rashes. It was nasty, yeah? Absolute craziness. This was over 10 years ago. And just constant breakouts on my face and that. It got so bad that I just had to go to the doctors and get something prescribed for my skin. Now, again, this was over a decade ago, so I can't remember the name of the medication that the doctor gave me. But all I remember, this is the only thing I remember, family. All I remember was the doctor saying something like, okay, Mr. Marshall, I'm going to prescribe you a very strong steroid cream that will clear up your skin in no time. And I was like, yes, great. Because I couldn't deal with all this eczema and skin rashes and skin irritations. Like it was just too much. So I started taking this steroid cream, family. That might be it. Don't know, put hydrocortisone. It might have been that. I seriously can't remember. All I know, it was a strong, very, very, very strong steroid cream. So I started taking this steroid cream, and guess what? Over the next couple of days, my skin started to clear up. But then something strange happened. And I'm going to share it with you, family. I'm going to share it with the family. Like, we got family in here tonight, so I'm going to share it, yeah? I went round to my mum's one time, and she was like, Leon, what's going on with your face? I was like, what do you mean what's going on with my face? My face is clear and beautiful. What are you talking about, Mum? And she was like, no. Wait. Leon, are you bleaching? Bleaching? Of course I'm not bleaching, Mum. Why would you say that? And my mum was like, Leon, look in the mirror. You look like Vibes Cartel. And I looked in the mirror and I didn't really see a difference in my skin complexion. Now, mind you, I look at obviously, like everyone, you look at yourself in the mirror every day, so you may not see the slight differences, yeah, that are happening on a day-to-day basis. So I thought, because I couldn't really see it, I thought my mum was chatting foolishness. I'm like, whatever. But again, because I'd been using the steroid cream for a couple of weeks by then, maybe I just wasn't aware of the subtle changes that were happening in the color and texture of my skin. So I took a couple of pictures of my face that night before I went to bed. And the next day, when I looked at the pics, I was like, whoa. I was like, oh my gosh. What the hell is happening to my skin? And family, I've still got those pics to this day, by the way. I've still got those pics. You guys want to see them? Put one in the chat if you want to see the pics. I've still got the pics of how I looked back then. Like, people put in ones. All right, family, I'm going to show it to you. I've never, and I really mean this, I've never shown these pics to anyone before. Literally no one has seen these pics before, not even family members and all this. So yeah, family, this is the first time I'm showing these pics. Check this out. Oh my days. Now, family, you guys know, I'm dark skinned. I am a dark skinned man, yeah? Look how light my face is. And yeah, you can tell this was years and years ago. I had hair on my head and all these things, you get me? So this was a long time ago, but look how light my face is. I look like, and look at my black lips. I literally look like those young youths in Jamaica. You know them one there that they want to look like their favorite musician star. I remember looking at these pictures back then, and I was like, I was like, what on earth is happening? I look like them youths. When I go to Jamaica and I see them youths who they do the cake soap, you know, and literally their face is light, but their hands are black. Look how my hands look dark. My hands are dark, their hands are black, their knuckles are black, their lips are black. And yeah, and then it's the patchiness as well. Like, it's crazy. I know. It is absolutely mad. Look how the patchiness in my hand, my hand don't know if it wants to be light skin or dark skin. Oh my days. It's mad. It is mad. This is what the medication done to me. It was literally killing off my melanin. This is what the medication done to me. Now, obviously, I'm not the only one that's had some crazy adverse reactions to prescribed medication. Check this out. Like, this is me like thinking, oh my gosh, what is happening to me? What is going on with me? Like, these times I was getting mad in my bed, like, what the hell is going on? And I was thinking to myself, is my melanin ever going to come back? Is it ever going to come back? Is my melanin gone for the rest of my life? Like, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I'm not the only one that's had adverse reactions to prescribed medication. So check this out. This Black patient, I think it's a lady from America, she was prescribed a drug to lower her blood pressure. And this was her reaction. This was what happened to her.
Hey, friends and family, and you nosy people on YouTube. I'm in the hospital. I'm in the emergency room. I had a really, really bad reaction to my blood pressure medicine, lisinopril, and my top lip. It's going down now. Since I've been here, they gave me some epinephrine and something else, but my lip is still swollen. But yeah, my lip was really, really huge. It was like really big when I woke up this morning. And I think right now it should be around 3 or 4 o'clock. So my lip has been swollen all day long. It's what prompted me to come to the emergency room, because usually when my lip does this, it only lasts like 30, 35 minutes. But today, for some reason, it's been swollen all day. And I just found out that this is what happens in African American people that's on lisinopril. You might have a really bad allergic reaction. And you guys, this could kill you, because it could have been my tongue swollen or my throat where you can't swallow, you can't breathe, and your airway shuts off. So this is very dangerous, you guys. I know I look weird, I look funny. I don't care. I wanted to make a video to let you guys know, my Black people specifically, this is what can happen to you if you're on lisinopril. And if this does happen to you, go straight to the emergency room. I can feel it going down. I can actually feel it going down.
So she's talking about lisinopril.
But yeah, I just want to show you guys, this is what can happen to people of color if you're on lisinopril, and it could be very dangerous.
Lisinopril, which is an ACE inhibitor. Now, I wasn't aware of this, but in America, they have specific blood pressure drugs for Black people, and specific drugs that they don't give to Black patients because of the reaction they may have to them. So yeah, sometimes they give Black people calcium channel blockers for high blood pressure. Sometimes they give them ACE inhibitors. But I wasn't aware that in America, there's certain drugs, there's certain ACE inhibitors that they say do not give these to Black patients. Yeah. They'll literally say, don't give these types of ACE inhibitors to Black patients, which made me think that's very interesting. So this, the one that I'm showing you here, this was from 2015, Cardiology Advisor, a study by Cardiology Advisor, and they found that ACE inhibitors may not be as effective in Black patients as they once thought. They went on to conclude that race needs to be a pivotal factor in what medication a patient is prescribed. Do you agree? They said that race should be a pivotal factor in what medication a patient is prescribed. What does the family think? Do you guys agree? It begs the question then, should Black people be given race-based prescription? Should Black people be given race-based prescription or medication based on your race, based on your ethnicity? Now, here in the UK, they're starting to lean towards this. So this was a study published in the Journal of Human Hypertension this year, actually, 2022. And it says, rethinking the inclusion of race in British hypertension guidance. And it says there, last year saw the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement and a renewed global call for racial justice. The disproportionate impact of COVID-19 pandemic added further weight to a clear moral argument for equality within wider society. Against that background, in medicine too, long-held biological assumptions about the influence of race in the diagnosis and management of illness are being evaluated in light of expanding scientific knowledge. Now, when this came out, many in the medical industry condemned it. Listen to this, family. Many in the medical industry condemned it, and they tried to counter the guidance. Yeah, so this one, like, they literally came out with guidance about hypertension specifically for Black people. So this was from the same study. It says, current guidance on the treatment of hypertension. The current British National Institute for Health and Care Excellent Guidelines recommend that people who do not have Black African or Black Caribbean heritage are offered ACE inhibitors initially, in preference to calcium channel blockers or thiazide diuretics. In contrast, people who have Black African or Black Caribbean heritage are offered calcium channel blockers initially, but not offered angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, ACE inhibitors. This is because all people with Black heritage are thought to be low renin responders, so therefore less responsive to ACE inhibitors. However, ACE inhibitors may be offered later if calcium channel blockers are insufficient to maintain adequate blood pressure control. Interesting. So yeah, these were the guidelines, or I don't know if they are now, but this was recommended as the guidelines for treating Black people with regards to hypertension. Yeah, so it's kind of specific. And when this came out, there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of pushback, and many in the medical industry condemned it. And they tried to counter the guidance by coming out with reports saying that race-based prescriptions had no benefit. Look at this. This one says race-based prescribing for Black people with high blood pressure shows no benefit. Study finds established guidelines may limit Black patients from receiving the full range of appropriate medications for hypertension. Now, family, if you've been watching the podcast or you've read my book, you know I'm big on breaking down the jargon. Yeah, so when you're listening to scientific research and all this sort of stuff, you need to break down the language, break down the jargon so you can fully understand it. So I'm going to read that again, and I just want someone in the chat to translate it for me. What are they really saying? So this study finds established guidelines may limit Black patients from receiving the full range of appropriate medications for hypertension. What do they really want to do? Someone, let me see if someone in the chat can kind of translate that scientific jargon for me. Study finds established guidelines, because remember the guidelines were saying, let's not give Black people this drug, let's not give them that drug because that might have an adverse reaction, they might have an adverse effect on that. Let's just give them this drug, don't give them that drug. This one's saying, study finds that those guidelines may limit Black patients from receiving the full range of appropriate medications for hypertension. What do you think they're really saying? They want to give us more, exactly. Don't limit the amount of drugs that we can put Black people on. How dare you? Don't say that. Then we can't give them certain drugs. We can't get them hooked on certain drugs. Do you understand? You got to really read between the lines when you read all of this scientific stuff, you know. They're saying it may limit Black patients from receiving the full range of appropriate medication. They're like, no, let's give them the full range. Let's give them peer drugs, fam. Are you mad? Let's not limit the amount of drugs we can give Black people, yeah? This is how they talk. But is it a good idea or a bad idea? Should everyone be given the same drugs? Now, giving everyone the same drugs can lead to and has led to over prescribing, and many being given drugs that they don't even need and that they're going to react adversely to anyway. So should everyone be given the same drugs? Should everyone have the full range of appropriate medication and just be put on peer drugs? This overprescribing thing is so bad in the UK, yeah, that the UK government, had to come out with a plan to reduce overprescribing in the NHS. So here's a document that I found online. You guys can find it on the government's website. Good for you, good for us, good for everybody. A plan to reduce overprescribing to make patient care better and safer, support the NHS and reduce carbon emissions. So here's their plan. And in the executive summary, it says, this review was set up to develop recommendations to reduce overprescribing, which is where people are given medicines they don't need or want, or which may do them harm. The review has found that overprescribing is a serious problem in health systems internationally that has grown dramatically over the last 25 years. And then it says it has two main causes. Listen to this, family. It says it has two main causes. The first cause is systemic racism. Sorry, I got a bit of a cough there. The first cause is systemic racism. The second cause is cultural. And it says there, a healthcare culture that favors medicines over alternatives, and in which some patients struggle to be heard. Some patients struggle to be heard. Now, what type of patients in the NHS struggle to be heard? I wonder. What type of patients in the NHS struggle to be heard? And what patients are more likely to be overprescribed medication? It's a tough one, family. I know. See if you can find the answer in the chat. It's a tough one. What type of patient struggles to be heard and is more likely to be overprescribed medication? Let's find out. So it says here, as well as the physical and mental impact on patients, overprescribing can lead to more hospital visits and preventable admissions, even premature deaths. There is also the cost in wasted medicines. And here we go. Overprescribing may disproportionately affect Black, Asian, minority, BAME, and all that sort of stuff. So obviously, quote unquote, ethnic communities who are more vulnerable, they're going to be overprescribed drugs. Yeah. Overprescribed drugs. Surprise, surprise. So that's their solution for us. Overprescription and turn us into druggies. And like it says here, remember, this is a government document. This is not Leo Marshall saying this. Overprescription can lead to more hospital visits, preventable admissions, and even premature deaths. And speaking of overprescription and drugging us up, ain't that what they're doing with all these vaccines and boosters? Like, how many more boosters does the public need to be protected? Someone let me know in the chat, how many more boosters does the public need, or Black people need, or anyone need to be protected, for crying out loud? Like, if you was to ask them, how many more boosters do we need to be protected? They'll be like,
another one, another one, another one, another one, and another one, and another one.
oh Lord. So what is all of this overprescription doing to our melanin? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. What is all of these drugs, all of this overprescription doing to our melanin? Now, here's where my book would come in handy, because in my book, I break down how drugs affect melanin and how certain medication inhibits melanogenesis. Now, you need to have the book to know what melanogenesis is, and I do talk about melanogenesis in one of the previous pod classes. So if this is your first time on a pod class, I suggest you go to the hiddenscienceacademy.com/podclass and check out all of the previous episodes. This is episode 20. I'm not too sure. I can't remember what episode I talk about melanogenesis. But to keep it very simple, melanogenesis is the complex process of how your body produces melanin. It's how your melanocytes, which are specialized skin cells, produce melanin. Yeah. And if you've got my book, turn to page. If you've got my new book, because remember I had to put out a new version of the book because of the feedback I was getting from the first edition. So if you've got the new edition, which is, I think it's over 300 pages long, turn to page 114 right now. Turn to page 114. Yeah. You'll know if you've got the newer book or the older book, depending on the amount of pages. So the older book was a little bit smaller, the print was a little bit smaller, and it's only 212 pages long. If you've got the newer book, turn to page 114. If you've got the first version that came out, turn to page 75, because what I'm about to read is on those pages. Yeah. So if you've got the first version book, turn to page 75. If you've got the newer version book, turn to page 114. But check this out. This is straight from my book. I'm going to read straight from my book from page 114. It says, things that affect melanogenesis. Wearing sunglasses affects melanogenesis. Staying indoors affects melanogenesis. Covering your skin from exposure to UV rays affects melanogenesis. Putting cosmetics on your skin and chemicals in your hair affects melanogenesis. A high sugar diet affects melanogenesis. Going to bed late and not getting a good night's sleep affects melanogenesis. Blue light from smartphones, tablets, and laptops affects melanogenesis. It then goes on to say, all of these things can impact on how much melanin your melanocytes produce. Additionally, studies have shown that certain types of medication can have an impact too. Who's got the book? Who's read this part? The popular anti-diabetic drug, metformin, has been shown to have an inhibitory effect on melanogenesis. In other words, it will block the production of melanogenesis, block the production of your body producing melanin. This is metformin, family. And again, just for the, for the That's Not True crew, I make sure I reference everything that I've said in my book. So those numbers 55 and 56, those are the references where you can go to the back of the book and see the scientific paper, published scientific paper that says that metformin has an inhibitory effect on melanogenesis. And like I say there, this is quite interesting to note, as its inhibitory effect on melanogenesis is not listed as one of its side effects. Maybe those who suffer from type 2 diabetes might like to know this information. They may also like to know about the negative effects of sugar on melanogenesis. You now know that high blood sugar levels severely inhibit the production of melanin. So type 2 diabetes can then be used as a good indication of a disrupted melanogenic process. So anyone who's suffering from type 2 diabetes, you now know your melanogenic process, which is the process by which your body produces melanin, is disrupted, especially if you're on metformin. So this information is very important for people, yeah? And it kind of leans to what we were saying earlier with regards to should medication be race specific? Should it be race specific? So it's important to know what medication we're taking and what it's doing to our melanin. Come to think of it, that should be something that every Black person should start doing before they take any new medication. They should literally ask the doctor, what does this medication do to my melanin? And see what they say. They'll probably start stuttering like, literally, like, just ask them, what is the drug doing to my melanin? And see what they say. They ain't gonna say a word because they don't know. Oh, and listen to this. This is a very rare video of the master teacher himself, Dr. Laila Africa. He's the author of many books, many powerful books. And one of them is African Holistic Health. That book taught me everything I know with regards to Black holistic health. So I look at him as the master teacher. Listen to what he says about how they create drugs, how they create medication. Listen carefully.
All all we know is that if you want to create a drug, you have to destroy, speed up, or slow down melanin. There's a chemist who founded a chemical company called Eli Lilly that makes Prozac and other drugs. He said a drug that doesn't work on melanin is not a drug at all. And that's how we measure whether a drug is effective or not. We call it the half-life, how long it takes a drug to spike its highest level of action. So we measure drugs' action by how well it slows down or speeds up or destroys melanin.
So what are these drugs doing to our melanin? Ask your doctor and see what they say. They're not going to be honest. And this is all doctors, by the way, bar none. No doctor will speak openly and honestly about melanin. Why? Because most of them don't know the truth about melanin, if we're being honest. Most of them don't know the truth. Unless they have my book, by the way. Unless they have my book. That should be the test. If you go to a doctor and you say, what is this medication going to do to my melanin? And then they start talking about melanin. Just ask them, where are you getting your information from? Where are you getting this from? If they don't say The Hidden Science of Melanin by Leon Marshall, then they don't know the truth. I'm joking. No, I'm not. Check to see if they have my book. And if they don't, be cautious of what they tell you about melanin. All right, let me open up the floor and see what the family's got to say. Let me open up the floor. I like to keep these short and sweet. So, family, let me see who wants to chime in. Raise your hand if you want to speak. I'm going to lower everyone's hand now. Raise your hand if you want to speak, and then I'll let you go live. Do you know who I'd love to hear from? I'd love to hear from anyone who's had adverse reactions to medication. Or do you know who I'd love to hear from? Anyone who works in the medical industry. Raise your hand. Let's talk. So raise your hand. Let's talk. I don't mind who you are. So let's see who we got. All right, let's go with Mavita first. If not, then so Mavita, if you can unmute your mic. If not Mavita, then Alison.
Good evening.
Alison, you there, sis?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening.
How are you?
Oh, very well, very well. Despite the tiredness, I'm very well, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very well.
I didn't recognize you in those pictures at all.
I know, it was crazy, innit?
Just the eyes. Was there scarring over the eye before?
Yeah, there was scarring over the eye. So the scar is from a car accident that I had a couple years before that.
Yes.
Yeah, but as you could see, the light, because my skin was lighter, you could see the scars more. So now my skin's dark, you can't really see the scars. The scars are still there around my eye.
So I missed the first 10 or 15 minutes or so of the session tonight. I'm hoping to listen to the recording, play back the recording. But as you were speaking, you know, I'm a radiographer, so that you know, when I work in CT, there's the EGFR test.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the EGFR test looks for certain chemicals in the blood. So before you have a CT scan and are given the CT contrast, we look up your EGFR. If your EGFR is below 30, we are reticent to give you the contrast. But if you are, now this is written down, this is part of the program. If your patient is of African Caribbean descent, multiply the results by 1.2. I don't know if you've ever come across this, Leon.
And why do they say that?
Because the EGFR stands for the glomerular filtration rate of the kidney. Our kidneys process fluids 1.2 times slower than our Caucasian counterparts. Does anybody need me to repeat that?
Yeah, repeat it for me, sis.
Right. So EGFR is a blood test that shows up a particular rate. So it's the electronic glomerular filtration rate of the kidneys, kidney function, how they're working. And at the bottom of the printout of the, let's say you print out the blood test results. When I worked in Eastbourne, the printout would say, if the patient is of African Caribbean descent, heritage, multiply this result by 1.2.
Okay.
And I asked a urologist, what does this mean? And he went red. So as you were speaking, this is why they don't want blacks in medicine, because we tell each other stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
And I was laughing to myself because he went red. This is a world-renowned urologist. I don't know. I had to go to an American website to find out why. And it's because our kidneys, because of the melanin and because our material is denser than theirs, we process fluids at a slower rate, which means we have to drink more water to allow our kidneys to work correctly. And how many people have I told us every time they tell me they've got kidney problems, water.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense. But like you say, we need more black people in the industry so we can tell each other stuff. How many black people knew this? Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, it's sort of linked to what you were saying about medication. So of course, when black people are on metformin and they experience all these difficulties, I'm like, well, get off the metformin, change your diet, stop eating white potatoes, stop eating white food, white pasta, like, the things that we tell each other all the time. A friend of mine was given steroids for her sarcoid, and she said, I'm getting worse. I said, well, get off the steroids. Oh, I can't, because the doctor told you have to take them. Does it not make sense to you that if you're getting worse, that you should stop the medication?
Exactly.
And this tone of voice, I had to talk to her in this tone of voice for her to be able to understand how serious it is. Why would the doctor insist to put you on a drug that he's been asked to test out on black people, and you're getting worse and you can't come off of it? You're mad. No, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for that,
Sorry,
sis.
that was a bit of Jamaican coming out there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you got to hold that down when you're in your workplace, but here it's okay.
Right. Yeah, especially when they're asking you where you're from. Oh, Lord, that's
yeah. Let's not go into that. All right, sis. Take care. Yeah.
Yeah, you too. You too.
So yes, family, it's very important for us to get more people in the industry so we can find out stuff like this. I'm not too sure how many people knew that. Well, you could probably guess, but where they overprescribe us medication, and they prescribe us medication that sometimes we don't even need, but yet we're on it. Yeah. And it's not just like it doesn't do us anything. Like it said in the government's own report, sometimes this overprescription could lead to death. So what are we really doing? What sort of healthcare are black people really getting? Yeah. All right. Anyone else in the NHS want to raise their hand? I know some people in the NHS follow me. I know there might be a doctor here or there. And again, I'm not anti-doctor. I'm just anti-falsehood. I just want to know the truth. So again, I big up all the doctors that are doing a great job, but you all need my book. That's all I'm saying. All of you, especially if you're black, but everyone who works in the NHS who's dealing with black people, they need to have the hidden science of melanin as a prerequisite if you're dealing with black people. And again, all we need to do to check is just ask them, what does this medication do to my melanin? And watch them go all types of colors in embarrassment. Get my book, man, and start learning the truth. You understand? Especially if you work with black people in, the NHS with regards to health. All right. I don't see any other hands raised, so I'm just going to finish up now, family. So let me quickly finish up and tell you what's coming up. So many of you know that I've got my wellness weekender coming up, family. Oh my gosh, if you can make this is how we're ending the year. We're ending the year with the wellness weekender, which is a 3-day mental health empowerment wellness retreat. So it's from Friday the 16th of December to Sunday the 18th of December at the Crown Plaza Reading East Hotel. Very nice hotel. So many things are going to be happening there. We've got 200 plus attendees, 4-star hotel, sauna, jacuzzi, steam, all of that stuff. In the mornings, we do the Tai Chi sessions, morning meditation. Then we have inspirational speakers all throughout the day. We have an African market. So many things happening throughout the day, and it's for all ages. Like last time we did the wellness weekend there in April, there was children there, there were teenagers there, there was adults there, and there was elders there. Like all ages enjoyed this. And then in the evening, we have the gala dinner and dance. We dress up, and we've got a celebrity chef. Big up the chef that's going to be coming down, Chef Kevin. Listen, the food's going to be amazing, the vibes and the health workshop, so much information. So yeah, to get more information on that, if you want to book a room or book a one-day pass, just go to the hiddenscienceacademy.com and sort that out. Also, my book is still available. Some people asking about the new version. This is a bigger version. It's over 300 pages. It's all the same information. It's just that the text is much bigger. Yeah. And by the way, I mentioned this on the last podcast, I think, but I'm going to start doing, or I have already started to do one-to-one health consultations. So I've created the course and people like the course, but people still say they want more information and more one-to-one help. So as of next year, family, I'm going to be more of a health coach. So I'll be doing one-to-one consultations and then one-to-one personalized health programs for people to help them on this journey. So if you want to book a one-to-one health consultation with me, all you need to do is go to the hiddenscienceacademy.com/consultation, and you can book a consultation and we do a scan, tell you what's going on in your body. And then me and my team, it's not just me and my team put together a program for you. And it's a 30-day or a 90-day program, depending on how long you want to stay with us, depending on your conditions. Yeah. Some very powerful stuff. Yeah. We've got to walk the talk. So the fact that I put together a Black Holistic Health course, it just makes sense for me to then go on to do one-to-one health consultations and help people individually, one-on-one. So that's what I'm going to be doing as of next year, family. And big up all the people who have already booked with us. So we've got quite a few people that we're going to be working with for 30 days and 90 days as of January. No one really wants to start anything new right now because Christmas is coming up. It's just one of them things. But yeah, large up the family. And yes, we are coming to the end right now. So big up all the people that have stayed right to the end of the podcast. As usual, we do this on the 1st of each and every month. So the next one will be the 1st of January, family. I can't wait to see all of you back on this podcast so we can, talk about what we're going to be doing for the new year. And big up all the people that have already booked for the wellness weekend. I cannot wait to see you there. It's going to be such a vibe. But as always, I like to keep these short and sweet. So we are now going to finish up, family. So let's finish up. Genius. When I was young, they used to tell us, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad for you. So stay away from the drug dealers. Now black people are overprescribed drugs that leads to adverse reactions and sometimes deaths. So tell me something. Who are the real drug dealers? My name is Leo Marshall, and that concludes the end of PodClass 20. Thank you everyone for being a part of this. You're a part of history, trust me. And just remember, be the light you seek. Just shine, man. More light, more love, more life. One.
Thanks for listening to Marshall's Melanin PodClass. To download this episode, go to the hiddenscienceacademy.com/PodClass. Be sure to catch the next class on the 1st of the month. And if you like this one, please share it with your friends and family. If you're on Instagram, you can follow Leon Marshall at The Scientist Online. And remember, keep shining.
Genius.